Hello, and welcome to Hermit's Cupboard. I'm Reverend Lloyd. Today's topic, intent. When it comes to magical definitions and motives, there are a lot of opinions. So what I'm going to share is from my experience, from my perspective, and from my training. And someone else would probably say something either a little bit different or very different, because it all depends on what your paradigm is, how you're viewing and approaching the subject of intent. What is intent? Intent is motive. This is what I mean to do. Frequently, we've heard the phrase, well, it didn't turn out right, but they had a good intent. When we're working with magic, when we're working with these very powerful energies, having good intent and flawed outcomes is not optimal. How can we, or what are some steps that we can take to ensure that what we mean to happen is what happens? First off, I believe that you need to look at what is really motivating you for whatever the outcome is that you're looking for. Second is, what is that outcome change? What is different that you're wanting to accomplish? And then there's an important aspect between those 2 points, and that is, why is there a difference in existence today between where you are and what you want to see happen? What created this space in between? The reason I say that is, for my personal magical practice, I strive to do very little magic, putting out a really huge, big, gargantuous intent. What I like to do for my magic is to weave my magic, where I can see where I want to be. Maybe it's just the difference, for example, with Hermit's Cupboard. It's just the difference in where we are today with the products and the services that we offer, and where we want to be with the products and the services that we offer. It's a growth opportunity. And if your intent is growth, that's going to be a very positive and good thing, so long as that growth is not achieved at the expense of others. Why does this gap exist? You really need to look at the answer to that in depth. If it's money, why is my financial situation here? And why is my financial situation not here? Is it bad credit? Well, then the magical intent and focus should not be on making more money. It needs to be on correcting the faults that created the bad credit. Do you see the difference there? You can get more money and your credit's going to get worse, and you're in this constant spiral. If you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, just about the time that you catch up, they'll refinance and you'll be back to square one. What's causing that gap? And we need to look at it honestly, because what's going on around us is in part created by the energies that we're putting into it. So if we're experiencing some sort of difficulty, you first need to ask, what am I contributing to this difficulty? As you can see, this is going to change your perspective of how you approach your magical intent. I think the first thing that we should be doing in magic is looking inward for the solution and cause before we start to reach outward for a solution and a resolve. That's just my personal opinion on it. Something else that we need to keep in mind here with intent, who's going to be impacted? So often we do not use clear vision to be able to see things all the way through. Going back to how I approach weaving magic. If I see where I'm at and where I want to be, there's a difference. And that difference is not something that I'm it's not something that I'm causing. I know that I can take steps to change that. But those steps might not be an exact straight line all the way through. And a lot of times witches, especially new witches that are coming from the monotheistic belief systems, have in their mindset this name it and claim it. If I say it's mine, I'm going to take it. That's pretty freaking rude to the cosmic energies, in my personal opinion. If you think that highly of yourself, I'm sorry, I'm going to be honest, then you should be tripping over your own feet and landing on your face. That's called karma, dear. Sorry, it just is. So, as we weave our magic, what are the incremental steps that we need to take that's going to get us to our end goal? So what we're doing is we're breaking down that magic intent of where we want to be and how we want that to come about into smaller steps, attainable goals. And we're setting those goals within the realities of life. You see, the energies around us are dynamic and they're constantly changing. The energies are never the same all the way through. So if you have this intent of, that's the direction I'm going, and if you get in my way, I'm just going to run your ass over, you're going to mess it up. Because when you do that type of power drive, you're going to be disrupting the lives of everyone along that path. And you're doing it in a very arrogant way. Instead, what we need to do is approach those paths with the dynamic of change and flexibility, like the sacred tree. We need to be able to move and adapt as we're working towards this goal. It doesn't make it harder. It actually makes it easier in the long run, because instead of us battling through, we're able to weave our way through. If you're in a sailboat and you want to get from point A to point B, and the wind is in front of you, you've got to adapt how you set your sails to be able to move in the right direction. Otherwise, you're going to get extremely frustrated because while you're trying to go forward, you've got a headwind that's constantly pushing you backwards. And that's what happens when you try to force that intent and make it that laser. Weave your magic. See your way through. See who you are going to be impacting. Do you want to impact those individuals? What's going to be the reaction, the equal and opposite reaction as you come across these individuals? Will it be positive, or will their energies be able to help propel you forward? This is intent. That's true intent. Not just saying, oh, that's where I want to go. A responsible witch, working with the powers of the cosmos, are going to take their time to decide and discern how this impacts them, how it impacts others, how it impacts the energies around them. That's why it's important to meditate, to look inward. Where's the answers? It's important to meditate and look towards deity, or towards your ancestors, or towards the stories of your mythology, to discover how has the cosmos worked in these situations before. Because chances are it will work the same way yet again. So when it comes to intent, know what your outcome needs to be. Know what the impacts are of that outcome. Find the answers first within yourself to make sure that you're not the one hindering your own magic. And then see your way clearly. And most importantly, determine whether or not anyone might be incidentally harmed. That's intent. How do we put our intent into our magic? Well, if you spend as much energy as I just suggested in doing that inward and outward sight, vision, and doing the planning, those energies are going to accumulate into a much more successful magical outcome. Again, that's my opinion. Maybe I've given you a few points to be able to think about. Hopefully you'll consider it and decide for yourself what your right path is. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, remember to subscribe to our channel, and please be sure to visit us at hermitscupboard.com for your metaphysical, spiritual, and healing needs. I'm Reverend Lloyd. Cheers.